We start drawing when we're children. We draw doodles, we draw colors, we scribble, we draw circles, we draw all kinds of things. Then we're forced to draw in school, and sometimes it's fun for some people, sometimes it's not. Sometimes our teachers are good, sometimes they're not. So I did art throughout my life. We had a school that really emphasized the importance of art. And then when I came to 9th grade and 10th grade, I decided to major in art. In my school, it was called studio art. So in 11th and 12th, I studied art. I looked at, like, our exam was self-portraits. So I had an overview of art and what it took to be an artist. But I was always mediocre. I was never advanced. There were many people who were better than me and are better than me. And so I didn't really have too much confidence when it came to art. But I said, okay, fine, whatever. So as time went by, art took a back seat, and then I started doing art on my face, which was like in the form of makeup. So I did art every day, and I expressed myself through makeup. I blended, I blurred, and I did all these beautiful things, and art took a back seat until my daughter was born. And then, of course, all the paint supplies got bought. Art is an important part of childhood, and circles, drawing happened. Occasionally, I would draw a little bit, doodle a little bit, but I was still not very confident about drawing. In 2020, that changed when we decided to invest in an iPad. When you invest in an iPad, it's really important, especially if you're an artist, to invest in the Apple Pencil. I would say as an artist, Apple Pencil really changed my life, but this is not an ad no one has sponsored this, but I'm just sharing my journey as an artist. When we bought the iPad and I started drawing, my drawings were terrible, and I had no confidence about my drawing. But thankfully, because of apps like Procreate and Fresco, there's a lot of stuff on the internet. There's a lot of YouTube videos, there's a lot of Instagram tutorials, there's a lot of Skillshare videos. So I got immersed in that and learning, and essentially what happened was I started drawing every single day. And I drew and I drew and I drew, and then within a month, I'm not kidding, within a month, I illustrated my first children's book. But the fact is that the satisfaction that I get by drawing every day or publishing a children's book, or later on I did a book called Animals in the World, it was more than just sales. It was more about the satisfaction of doing it. I love that my book is for kids. I love that my kid enjoyed it. I love that it was born out of a bedtime story that I did. But I'm not going to talk about my books right now. This is not a marketing video. This is primarily some tips to help you budding artists who are watching this video, or even old artists who've lost their groove and are wondering, shall I get back to it? I'm here to give you tips to really save you from drowning. Don't leave art. Art is the best thing that happened to me. It changed my life. It made me happier. And I do talk about this in my podcast about art therapy, where you really do see life in a more beautiful way. And I do think that art saved my life. So let's get started. I'm going to give you tips, like 5 tips, and maybe a bonus tip of what you need to do if you're a budding artist or a old artist who's tired and wants to get back their groove. What you need to do to be an artist today. So let's get started with that. Number 1, draw. Whether it's tutorials on YouTube, whether it's tutorials on Instagram or Facebook or Skillshare. I mean, what I did was I first started with YouTube and Instagram, and then I invested, once I realized that I loved it, I invested in a Skillshare account. You can opt for a free account. I'll link below the link, and try it out for a month and see if you like it. But I really learned and drew every single day. Whether it was bad, whether it was good, I just drew. So tip number 1 is draw. Eventually, you'll start getting better. I promise you, that's what happened to me. Tip number 2 is a little tied up with tip number 1. It's learn. Now, like I touched on YouTube and Instagram and Skillshare and Teachable, whatever site that really makes you happy. But when I say learn, I'm not just saying blindly just watch videos and eventually. You need to learn and apply it into your own work. For example, there are many artists around who teach Procreate. Calvin, Lisa, Tati, Art with Flow. You just have to like search for Procreate, easy, art, digital art. Everyone tags their things. What I feel like the more, and don't get discouraged. When you learn, don't see that as, oh, they draw so well and I don't draw well. That's not really constructive. When you learn in the most basic way you can, and just keep learning every day as you draw. How I got better was that I just did tutorials every single day. I learned from people, even though it was hard sometimes, even though it was easy sometimes. I just learned, and then it comes back to number one, saying draw. So number two is basically learn. Number three, again, everything ties up to each other, but number three is don't be perfect. Perfection is not art. It's actually in our imperfection that art can be enjoyed, not just for you, but even for the viewer. Nobody wants straight lines. Everyone can draw straight lines if they really want to. I mean, you have, in Procreate itself, you have a shape tool where you draw a line and you put your finger and it gives you a straight line. That's easy. But it's your imperfection that really makes or breaks your, it doesn't break. Even imperfections can make anything. What I found is that I understood what I was good at and what I was not, and I enjoyed it. Like, for example, I really struggled with flowers. Even today, after drawing and publishing so many books, flowers is a challenge for me. I understood that, I know that, but that doesn't stop me from drawing flowers. Even if they come out like the most ugliest flowers, it's okay, draw. I didn't know that I love drawing birds, but the moment I just started drawing birds, I went to 1, I went to 2, I went to 3, then eventually I made 12, and I was like, oh, I can make a calendar and a diary, So understand what you love, what you don't love. Eventually, of course, again tying up to draw, learn. Eventually you will learn that this is what you like drawing and this is what you don't. Like, I love drawing animals. I didn't know that I love fur and I love animals and I love eyes, and I struggle with humans, like faces, expressions. These are areas. So don't be afraid, because mistakes are really beautiful and imperfections are really important in your growth, and it really teaches you. And nobody wants a perfect artist. They just want an artist that's true to themselves. So don't be worried about being perfect. Number 4 is don't fear, just be brave. Now, I know you would think, but isn't that about perfection? It's not actually, because a lot of times we come with fear about being judged. Don't be afraid. Since I've been drawing since 2020, I have never ever had a troll tell me that my art is crap. Don't start now. But basically, no one has ever told me your art is rubbish, this is horrible, what is this use of color? No one has ever done it. I share on YouTube, I share on Instagram. Yeah, I may not be viral, I may not have 1,000 million followers, but the fact is that no one has ever told me that my art is bad. And if they do, they're not really your friends. It's important to be brave with your art, because you will on days not like it. And I would say, in your fear, face it. Be brave. If you don't like it, like I've made some really horrible things, but I wasn't, like, it's not that I'm overconfident. I'm not. I still have my insecurities, especially with my art. I'm like, oh, this is horrible. But I remember Lisa Glantz, I like love her as an artist, but I remember she liked one of my pieces of art, and I was like, Lisa, this is horrible. I'm not friends with her. She was just like complimenting me on my work, and she said, it's interesting, what we sometimes don't like, the other person does like. And it was such an affirmation for me, because a person as talented as her was reaching out to this low like artist, like newbie as me, and encouraging me and saying, well, I really liked it. So remember, your eyes may not be the same as another person's eyes. Remember that it's all about a person, what your art speaks to. Like, there are many things that I think are very normal, but people get very attracted to that. So remember that. Do not fear, be brave, because you never know what mastery you're creating with your art. And number 5 is understand your artistic voice. Like I mentioned before, flowers is not what I do really well, so that's not where my voice is. Whereas birds I do well, so I know which direction to go to. I'm very attracted to like drawings which are mid-century, but I don't really do a great job in that. So sometimes what we like doing, we may not be very good at it, but that's okay. Understand your own voice. Like, I didn't know this. I don't like abstract art, but I'm actually pretty good at abstract art because I let myself go. And eventually I began realizing that I actually, I loved warming up with abstract art. So you never know where your voice is, where your identity is as an artist. Be free and be open to understand where your voice is. I'm also going to give you a bonus tip. Use what you have. I know that this goes against what a lot of Procreate teachers talk about. Everyone has something to sell, but my advice to you, if you're beginning, especially if you're starting in digital art, don't be in a rush to buy brushes. First, get to know the native brushes on Procreate. I am discovering native brushes now because people who I like and admire are bringing those brushes back. Like Tati, I recently did a tutorial of hers, and she was using 3 out of 5 brushes that were from the native app. And I remember messaging her and telling her that, thank you for bringing these native brushes. And she was like, yeah, these brushes are really cool. And I was very encouraged by that. And I realized that immediately when I got Procreate, I thought that I needed to buy brushes, and I didn't. But I went crazy, and then I got this thing called brush overload, where I had too many brushes and I didn't know what to do with them. So it's very important for you to use what you have. Enjoy each brush that you buy, each brush that you have on your app, and then if you realize, like for example, I knew that I wanted to do gouache painting. So Procreate native brush has only one gouache. So I knew I wanted to invest in that. So do that. Invest when you're ready or you feel advanced enough to do that. What I would say is learn the foundations of art. Familiarize yourself with digital art and then go crazy, and then please be my guest if you want to go through brush overload. I know I said a bonus, but I'm going to give you another bonus. The art community, which is the Procreate art community or the digital art community, is super supportive. A lot of teachers who teach these tutorials, if you tag them, they talk to you, they interact with you. Like I told you that Tati, she liked something that I did and complimented me, and Lisa saw it and spoke to me about it. So we live in the artist community is really tight, and they're really supportive, and they're very, very encouraging. So reach out, talk, use the resources that you have. Like I said, the world has become smaller, and I remember initially I was like, whoa, I have teachers from all over the world. I don't even know which country they're from, but I think someone is in South Africa, someone is in Australia, someone is in America, someone is in Russia. So use the beautiful World Wide Web to your advantage and get the maximum you can in terms of finding your voice as an artist. So these were my 5 tips with a few bonuses thrown there. I hope it helps you, and I hope this can really kickstart your journey as an artist. I am starting a series on Procreate. I'm going to be putting it on YouTube, and this is just going to be an overview, a basic look at what you can do on YouTube, on Procreate. So I hope it helps you, and I hope it really develops you as an artist. Do leave some comments if you'd like, any questions you'd like answered. If I have the ability to answer those, I will try my best. I'm calling this series Digital Drawing Masterclass, DDMC. I like the sound of it, but primarily I'll be focusing on Procreate, but maybe eventually after I finish my overview, I'll get into other apps like Fresco and Sketches. They're really fantastic apps. So this is the gist of my journey, and these are a few tips for you. I hope they help you, and I will catch you in the next video talking about drawing. And again, leave me your comments if you're interested in knowing more about digital drawing. I'd be super happy to talk to you about it and answer your questions. Thanks for joining me. I will catch you in the next video.